The brown paper bag was Ronnie's was in NA and AA, and he was very open about it. You know, he did lots of talks about it and stuff, and he used to tell these amazing stories. He's a fantastic storyteller. My brother had recently died from alcoholism, and I wanted to explore that, because to my family it was, you can't look at this, you can't go there. You know, this is dirty washing. We don't want it done in public. And I'm like, no, it's not dirty washing. This is my brother. This is my brother. This is my brother. It's not dirty washing. Let's be clear about one thing. This is not dirty washing. I love this man, but I'm fucking angry at him. I'm so angry at him because he's left 4 beautiful kids and he's left a wife and he's chosen alcohol over everybody else. And I'm so angry at him, but I love him so much that I daren't voice my anger. And my dad comes to the hospital pissed, and I am so angry with my dad when he kicks off with the nurses. I grab him by the collars and I run him into the wall, and I'm so angry at him. How dare you come here pissed up when my brother's dying? And I'm so angry at my mum because my mum keeps saying, don't tell anybody what your brother died, what your brother's dying of. Don't tell anybody why your brother's in hospital. Nobody needs to know. It's nothing to do with anybody else. And I'm so angry at all this, but I don't want to voice my anger because I don't understand it. How can you be angry at your brother when you love him? I love him. I'm watching him die. I'm watching him implode. I love him. So I write the film, and man, it was such a revelation. I wrote it for Ronnie because I love Ronnie, but of course it's the story of my brother disguised. You know, the protagonist is a girl, not a man, and all that. And I wanted to write why people get caught into alcoholism and the tragedy of it. And in the film, I did 2 films in there. I did a brown paper bag and I did 3 Sacks Full Hats, which we'll talk about in a minute. But in the films, I use my writer's voice to accuse my dad, to accuse my mum, to be angry at my brother. And I realised when I did it that, you know, that my dad didn't know how to cope without a drink. He just didn't know how to cope. That was just how he'd been brought up. That was his conditioning. He would have thought nothing about having a pint and then coming to the hospital when my brother was dying from alcohol. He would not have thought about that. It wouldn't have been a sin for him. It's just how he lived. It's how he'd been brought up. I've worked all my life for a drink. I've earned a drink. As my dad used to say, I've earned a bastard drink. Don't you tell? I'll have a drink if I want to have a drink. Don't you worry about that. But that's how he's been brought up. He doesn't know any different. My mum is more afraid of shame than an assassin's bullet. That is a powerful force. I understand fear. Fear's had me cowering in the bedroom. I understand it. So I don't need to judge my mum. I need to have compassion for her. I don't need to judge my dad. My dad is just coping. There's no room for me to judge my dad. And I don't need to judge my brother because my brother hasn't chosen alcohol. My brother is possessed. My brother's gone. He's not there. You know, something else is in my brother's body. Something else. A parasite. It's not my brother. He broke through every now and again. It doesn't mean he can't escape it, because people do. But that was not my brother. My brother had been taken over by this parasitical addiction, and he could not escape it. Even though he got 4 beautiful kids, he wasn't a choice he made. And the end is he'd had what they call an enforced abduction of his will force. He'd got no will.
Did he try and get help at any point?
Yeah, he tried to. In the end, my brother was so afraid that he couldn't leave. Not that he couldn't leave his flat. My brother couldn't leave. He couldn't. He lived between the doorway of his kitchen sat on a stool, and the hallway where he slept in a tent. And he slept in a tent because demons were trying to get him. So he just lived between. His world shrank to that. I watched his world shrink to a hospital bed, and I watched him. You know, I was with him when he died, so I watched how heinous it was. And that's the one thing he taught me. Fear will shrink you if you listen to it.